Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Talks and Cakes in collaboration with SCI for the special podcast series on the International Day of Peace. These audio episodes are recorded remotely via Zoom, and looking forward for the following episode with Danai.
So my name is Danai. I'm 28 years old, if that matters at all. So technically I'm a youth. I live in Greece my whole life, and I try to organize around antimilitarism, disarmament, peace, if we can speak of peace in the current time and place that we live in. I'm part of No More War also, which is part of SCI, and we try to do some good work there through some education. And I also do some non-fancy parts in that. So I do some video making, I do some social media things. So I think movements need the fancy, flashy parts, and then the awkward Excel, me crying over video editing software at night type of thing. So glamorous and not so glamorous.
Yes, which is really nice. Like I feel the same really because for me, I really don't have so much experience with the communication and this, but I'm really learning, and I feel like you're really very inspiring as well. With the No More War, our Instagram page, and this stuff. So that's really, we always say it's on fire. So
I mean, this is kind of why we also, we are on fire, I think, as a saying, is really tied to No More War and how it was born, I would say. And maybe it's relevant, so maybe I can also say, what do I remember? Because we are approaching 3 years of No More War being a thing. So No More War as a collective is kind of tied to how I entered SCI, I have to say. I did not enter SCI through my local branch or something else. I entered through No More War. And it was because we had some funding 3 years back to run 2 days of online organizing, which was devoted to basically making No More War Collective Volume 2, because it used to be a collective within SCI as a working group, and then it kind of stopped. And we wanted to bring it back because there are a lot of things to work on in peace in general. And we had noticed that within SCI, there are a lot of people that are doing positive peace things. So they are nurturing systems for all of this, but at the same time, we were not really seeing negative peace, and negative peace it's not something negative; it's the absence of war. So while a lot of things are happening, and we're just nurturing, nonviolent communication or caring for each other, this is great, but it kind of needs also the other leg, which is to fight for active conflicts, active genocides, active militarizing regimes to stop. So to me, that's kind of the holistic peace advocacy, let's say, package.
It should be radical, really fighting a true meaning of peace, not the superficial definitions that I don't know that they really in the civil society. Sometimes they're just getting people through superficial definitions of peace,
Yes, to me, it's really related also to the depoliticization of our issues that we work in civil society. Somehow, peace has become a political. And I am not here for this because there is active things happening right now that I think deserve not only our attention, but also our energy and our actions. So I really wanted to do something around this. And we made No More War. We ran the 2 days. I was very impressed with what we did because on day 2 we were already working on projects and things we wanted to do. I was like, okay, interesting. I don't expect that it will go anywhere because that's the thing with a lot of initiatives. You start and there's a lot of great energy and everyone wants to do something and then poof. Yes. So I did not have exactly high hopes because also given that we all live in different localities, it's even more difficult, I think, to stay committed to something, even if that something brings you joy. And I think in order for that commitment to happen, I think you kind of need a real pressing issue that's affecting people. And this is exactly what happened, because on our first General Assembly, October 7th have happened. And there are already Palestinians with the no more war like you. And I will never forget that. I always tell this story. I will never forget that first meeting and how horrified we all are. And just, how silent this call was just because of everyone's collective feelings. I'm not sure if you remember this one and if you recall any memories.
Maybe also because I was also like shocked, or like, I think also it was recently that I joined SCI, so I was even like in my brain I was also redefining, like he's also exploring, okay, what is this organization working for, what kind of like propaganda or agenda is there. So it was the time that I'm testing this, but I will tell you, yeah, like later I really found out it's not really like a superficial, just like with our collective, I would say, with the No More War. It's just people who are really like radical and they really want to change things 360 degrees, So yeah, that's really like where I realized more. But it took a bit of time, really, because it's also challenging for us.
Of course, of course.
And working on, even in the structure of an organization or in the streets. I don't know, as you said, like today, I don't know, we're witnessing genocides, we're witnessing like crazy wars all over.
I mean, yeah, the first thing I remember that we wanted to hold space for each other just because of this commitment to like, okay, we have people here who are directly affected by this. Let's talk.
So
And then it just opened more and more things and more issues that exist, and we haven't started working on them yet, and kind of pointed to a specific direction of work also. But I think we're still in that direction, and a lot of things happen there. But yeah, that was my first learning also over like, okay, people can organize, and like, and they were really brought together about around this very pressing issue that so many are affected personally, or their families or their communities. So this is how We Are on Fire kind of got born, because I was like, we are on fire, like really right now. And in anti-militarism, I think,
good
yeah, a lot of us in the West, especially, I feel like we see this as something like very far away. That is not happening. That is, whatever.
Two different words,
I mean, yes, and for example, in Greece, we have one of the most militarized police, for example, that people complain about all of the time. But for some reason, the connection with militarism and police violence has not happened. So to me, it was like, hey, people, we are actively on fire, just so you know. And,
yeah,
and there is a way to do something about this. So feel free to come along. So
I like
this
how
is
we call people, I really like it how we call people to join, because like people, they will be hesitant, or they, as you said, like they feel like they're in a different world. It's not really touching them now. So they're okay, or like they're far from this. However, it's close to everyone, like really. But talking about militarism, how do you challenge militarism? Because also you're activist in anti-militarism. So we talked about like anti-militarism and being active and activism. But for you, like what are your thoughts about challenging militarism more? Especially that maybe you're also like from Greece and military service is mandatory, most militarized police as well, and all of this. So yeah, what?
For me, it's a very specific locality, let's say, regarding militarism. I grew up around a lot of police violence, a lot of like, guns in the open, and like glorification also of guns and of the military, connections also with being a good man, masculine type of energies, because women and other genders are not enrolled. Not that other genders are recognized by the Greek state, but they are not enrolling in the army, only if they want to, which nobody wants to. And there are, like, I was noticing, like, half of my friends who had to go to the military being like, oh, and now I have to do this whole situation with making a paper that states that I am not fit to serve there because I'm depressed, or like whatever kind of psychiatric thing, real or not real, could be brought to this. And I'm like, are you sure this is the only thing you can do? Because I heard somewhere that you can be a conscientious objector, be like, no, I'm not serving. And they were like, no, we will not be able to go to the public sector. And I'm like, first of all, no, this is in our military Huda type of years. We were doing this at the time, I think,
Yeah.
but not anymore. Now it's confidential and they cannot really open it. But they can open sometimes your medical records under specific thingies. And if they find out medical papers that are saying that you are, I don't know, clinically not well, maybe you are, and if you are especially, you're going to get excluded from other parts of your life. That for something that maybe you don't even have,
Yeah,
just
because
because you
it's
have
like
to do this.
recorded, it's like, they have this in your record and it's gonna restrict other stuff.
Yes. So you're gonna be willing to carry a stigma at the end. Not that the stigma is okay to exist in general, like for going through something very tough emotionally, for being trans also. This situation was used for this, but nobody was claiming to be trans. They did not had a lot of balls, let's say, to do that. But because also that had a lot of other repercussions in life, like changing papers and all of this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is just one aspect of how militarism appears in our lives. For people socialized as women like me, we are not immediately affected by the service, I mean.
Yeah.
But for example, when you're just walking casually down the street in Athens where I live, and you see super militarized police with huge cars and huge guns and huge, like, basically like armors and helmets and everything, and this is just in the open, nothing major going on. You're like, and then I don't know, maybe you start like me, like being active in the migrant refugee issues, and then you see how they are using this military power essentially to force people into brutality, to brutalize them. So it's a lot of things that are getting interconnected in this. And I have to say that we have a very close and kind of problematic relationship with Cyprus. It's a very long story to get through this, but essentially a lot of people in Greece think that Cyprus is just a long lost cousin of us, and it's us and our siblings and all of this. So they are encouraging and they want a military invasion of Greece and Cyprus, for example, and kick out the Turkish Republic of Cyprus that's at the north. Or they have very intense thoughts about the coup that we encouraged and we supported to happen in Cyprus, with our military force, and how the Turkish military force eventually pushed other armies to get out. So, and this is very recent because it happened in the 70s. So our parents remember this, for example, even if they were quite young. For me, in this specific scenario, I have, I think, two different areas where I try to get active. One is this national level, because there's a lot of work to be done here. And the other level is the more international and things that are affecting kind of everyone. So, for example, NATO, uh, saying like now you need to spend 5% of your GDP in army spendings and military spendings. This is a thing that affects not just Greece, but I try to be active also towards there. There are a lot of ways that I try to do this. So, first thing for me was, remember that I said before that in the West we have different understandings of militarism because it doesn't affect us, maybe in the way other societies in global South especially do.
Yeah.
For me, the first thing was to start decolonizing a bit my thinking and my understanding, and my worldview in general. Stop seeing myself as the center of the world, and start kind of seeing what's happening. I mean, there are situations like this because I kind of grew up in a very progressive house that we're talking all the time. So, for example, we're always talking about um, Palestine, we're always talking about Caucasus and Russia. So it's a lot of different like imperialist powers that I was familiar with for a long time, and it was just very natural to advocate against,
Yeah.
no matter what I was doing. But there was also other things. So, for example, for Sudan and what the UAE, United
Arab
Emirates,
Emirates. Yeah.
what the Emirates are doing, or Saudi Arabia, how is it involved? And also the same thing with Indonesia, that's kind of further away. And maybe a lot of us in the West have not heard of it. So,
Right.
like, Indonesia is actually like genociding West Papua. So, it's a lot of different things that I started to learn more once I started like opening up my eyes more, and then starting to incorporate more worldviews into this. I started reading more from people that are living there or coming from these communities, or seeing a lot of videos about this or seeing movies about this. So kind of started from there. And then I also try to show them to other people also. So in that way, is this first level of like opinion change, no, worldview, like widening and like awareness.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is that I try to get everyone to object to the military here. A lot of people have a lot of questions because there are, I'm not sure like how we are not having like, why is it not slay yet? Why is it not trend? I expected everyone to do this. But it's very cool, and especially a lot of queer people I know. Also, the very peculiar case of like now we have trans people being able to change their legal documents much easier, and you know, what about trans men that maybe, I'm not sure yet, they will get the call once they transition to go enroll in the military.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have a lot of questions, and not even I know all of the answers, but in general, I try to find like these problems relating to militarism here.
Help or like what you know, because I know also you're a good reader. I think really you read a lot or you dig deep in history. I noticed this. So
I studied it, yes.
yeah. So, so maybe this
But
also
also this.
really helps you, you know, like if to support the people around if they have questions, because I really like believe in understanding the root of our world today and where all of this is coming from. Yeah.
This is the third thing I would say. I talk a lot and I read a lot. I'm not sure I'm always convincing, but
Yeah.
for some reason, out of all the genocides that are happening, I get reactions. I talk about them, of course, and from the people I have around me, I get reactions over like, but this is a regional conflict. For example, in Sudan, people have no idea why is this a genocide. Maybe they don't even know that it's a genocide. And I'm like, no, bitch. Here's what's going on in Sudan and what has been happening in the past in Sudan, and this is why it's a global issue that a lot of people are involved in, and we should do something. And if you care about decolonizing, for example, you should be into this even more. So I kind of use my knowledge towards there. But then, for some reason, some people think it's a very big debate, like philosophical thinking point over what should happen with Palestine. And I'm like, oh no, not here, because I studied this. So let's debate. And they get very angry at me, but I don't care because they cannot argue against my degree, at least. People still believe in degrees here a lot. So, yes. And I manage, like, these are the people that are kind of on the fence, maybe. They are usually not like passively supporting the genocide that is happening, but they are not like passively supporting Palestinians as well. They're kind of in the middle. So, this is a great area, strategically speaking, to intervene. And maybe it takes time, but I have seen people around like shifting along uh, to like maybe passive supporting, for example, than more actively supporting. So, yeah, if you have the patience, I
As
think
a
you can do this.
Palestinian, we appreciate, you know, like we really appreciate passive, active, anything like really when people just in the world are waking up, you know, toward reality because people I feel like they were like covered with lies, with propaganda, with so much, or like self-interest, or as you said, like we are in the center of the world, we are the center. All of this, and this like made people really lose like the empathy and lose their humanity, sympathy with others.
I think also that a lot for all of these 3 years that the invasion in Gaza has been happening in this version of the invasion, because it has happened times and times before. I think a lot of people maybe expected Palestinians to be at the forefront and like constantly fight and constantly educate and constantly raise awareness about this. But
victim that knows how to defend the colonizer,
yes,
or like
so in
how we say, like perfect people living in their occupation. They know how to solve their own struggle to get the.
and they are the perfect victims
They know how
also.
to fight back. Yeah.
Yeah, they're either super bad people or angels, and there is no in between. And that the Palestinians, especially of the diaspora, I think like you are kind of like expected to represent Palestine all of the time and forever, and at any point within their day, no matter what they are going through, to be able to hold a conference regarding this because some asshole at the metro had a question. So to be honest, I kind of really enjoy to be able to step in and like if the person is not really willing to like engage with all this, to be like, listen to me. No. And also because I know that because I say something,
Yeah.
if that's something, if you were to say, they wouldn't believe you so much, or they would question you more, or they would have shittier attitudes, but maybe they don't question me. So
it's like, yeah, we believe if it's said by a white person, it goes viral, trendy, it's well here we go. But if like, I don't know, the Palestinian would say it, he can just keep shouting forever, we're not really listening, we don't hear it.
I mean, it's the least we can do, I have to say. And I have to say, I'm kind of baffled over like, where are the white people regarding also other genocides that are happening? I do see some things regarding DRC, some things regarding Sudan, some very little things, but mostly not, I think, from white people regarding Tigray, for example, that is facing another genocide in Ethiopia. And then nothing. And I'm like, hey, you kind of need to step up because the world seems to pay attention to what we say. So use it, please. Start talking about other things too. I mean, Palestine is extremely important, as all of the other things. So if we manage to turn everyone's worldview to look at Palestine, we can also do the same thing for other things.
Other people, yes, definitely. So if you could teach the world one lesson from your work, what it would be, and who do you think the most needs to hear it?
I have
like really like how you imagine stuff, or you think about them, and how you really like your way of analysis towards stuff, or like even your vision.
I'm thinking I think I have some different learnings that I want to share. I will try to keep them concise for different people. So like one lesson that I think goes to everyone who is maybe in my position or wanting to get more active in this. Maybe they have friends, maybe they don't have friends who are affected by militarism.
Yeah.
To me, one of the things that I found in these 3 years of working on this, the most impeccable that I wish more people did, was to actually sit down and laugh and cry with each other. I'm not sure why I say this, but some of the most profound moments within my experience have come from moments of complete shattering over a movie, or complete laughing, crying over a song, or stories being shared. So I wish people paid a lot of attention to this, because I think a lot of times we're very focused on what to do and how can we do this, and then we really love theory, and sometimes I think we tend to hide behind theory because militarism and genocide are too big and they carry too much pain and a lot of emotions alongside with it, that I think we try to do something that I think is quite productive, which is to put them into action. But I think they also need some airing out and some expressing, because they are too much for one body to handle and to handle alone. So I don't know. I have seen people of No More War, but also people around No More War who are joining events, kind of like blossoming and blooming through this process, because it complements what everything else we are doing. So I really, I really want everyone who is organizing in some way to kind of leave space for this, leave space for silence, leave space for nothing productive to happen, just for a hug or a cigarette or a joke.
I totally agree, because really I feel like what we are fighting against is just burns you out, because I don't know, I never thought that we have all this investments of billions and millions of euro and dollars like in military, or like all this investment in genocide, because it comes from our everyday life. It's like a shop, you will go to drink coffee, this invest in military. Like Starbucks, you will go to eat in McDonald's. This is also like investment so much in genocide and in, I don't know, child labor, or like it's just a lot of like social injustice and the economic use just to feed capitalism. I think this was really part of our everyday life before the genocide starts, and we weren't aware that all these industry, like maybe some, I will not say all of us, but really the majority of the public, they were not aware that these public things that everywhere in front of everyone just funds genocide, they fund war, they fund military.
Yes, and they fund other things too, like Coca-Cola, for example. At some point, the workers of Coca-Cola is funding the genocide that's going on in Palestine. Some point in the past, they shoot the union workers, some of the union leaders of the workers, I think, and they executed them. I think this is a valid enough reason, even if you don't know anything else, to boycott the shit out of this company, or Apple, or Amazon, or so I think that this is also a point where a lot of struggles like intersect, and they have a lot of things to gain from each other. So yeah, what you say is really important. I think we should, like, because we organize events, physical events,
Yeah.
I think people should also kind of make this commitment as well, to be like, take the fucking Coca-Cola out of your event. Do not do a Google form and support Google. I mean, full transparency, No More War, we have still not done this transfer. We're not actively paying money to Google, but it's something we should work on.
Yeah.
To also defund in a way. The other thing I was thinking of is about the depoliticization of the youth sector and third sector in general, like NGO world, anyone working for humans. In reality, it's so political to be a human, and we have kind of done like a close my eyes, la 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 situation to this. And we still continue our projects on nonviolent communication and nature and whatever.
Like something that's very utopia, like that it's not part of our reality. Just like
yes, and I'm like, we are literally on fire. What are you doing? I mean, sometimes these have purpose. So, for example, maybe you work on something super specific that can be used later, maybe yes. But like most other times, I think we should politicize our work even more and see next a lot more. I see a lot of people struggling to bring militarism, war, and genocide as topics in youth work. Also, they don't know how to talk to other people they work with about them. And I think this is kind of what we try to do as well. And by making the spaces, but also developing tools for other people to use, I think this is really important because it gives a language. And yeah, I just wish everyone who's working in an NGO that hasn't released a statement even for something, that they start pushing for this. And I don't want to fucking hear anything about funding. First of all, if you work with Erasmus, for example, that sometimes we work with, they are not going to check like We have never, no one was very, very public about this. We have never gotten funds taken away or rejected
Yeah, because of this.
because of this.
No, it's not. It's not really. It's just. I think it's just in people's minds. That they don't. They want to be skeptical about it because again, that we talk about it. Like we want something superficial. It shows like the fancy part. Oh wow, look, we are like doing this and this. It's like really. It's just romanticizing. The situation with the funders and like to get money from.
It's really closing the eyes.
Power over us, like however, like this money is the money of the people. Like this is people's money. It's not the funders' money. The funders got the money from people taxes, from the public, So yeah. No, I totally
Yeah.
agree with you. And yeah, I believe people should continue with this. Okay, do you have maybe at the end few words that maybe you would like to share for people who are thinking or like working on the International Day of Peace?
Um, one of our participants in the open forum this year wrote something in a post about this forum, and she said, peace to me is not something unattainable, but something unavoidable. And that kind of stuck with me as a wish, as a manifestation, as I am stating something that is not true yet, but I want it to be true. So I am stating it's a truth to bring it to life. And I really want to believe it, that it can be like this. I think everyone has a role to play. And sometimes, when you're in a very big auditorium and you feel invisible and you feel like nothing you're going to do is going to affect anything. But really, imagine this one person in the auditorium sitting up in the middle of the lecture and shitting their pants. I think that would make a statement. So I think everyone can do something, even if everyone around them does not do that something and is not active. So
all continuous actions can make a difference, and they can change stuff. And
I think, okay, it's not going to feel revolutionary at start. It's going to feel clunky and it's going to have a lot of meetings and Excel sheets, and you're going to get angry over the people that you organize with, maybe, or annoyed or something. These are all part of the plan. But I think if you work like through them, only good things can happen from it. And I really, really wish for people to organize more and more holistically, I have to say. So, because I do see, as I said before, I do see a lot of commotion around Palestine. Great. Let's see all of the other things that are working around this. Let's see how not only the weapons industry is working, but also how Coca-Cola is working, or how colonialism and sexism is working, or pinkwashing, or stuff like this. And also what other struggles are happening, because they have, to me, militarism is a system of death, and there are many systems of death in the world. Colonization is one system of death as well. Animal cruelty and animal consumption also another one. And then there are systems of life that I have kind of devoted my life to, which is this education, community, mutual aid, sharing resources, organizing together, creation. All of these things are systems of life. And I want people to look for more systems of death that they can affect with their systems of life support. Because, I don't know, maybe something really significant can come from them. Even if this talk is also one system of life. So
yeah, really. Like I feel, how to say, like because I listen to a lot of podcasts, so then I started really to see the power. It's hearing other people's voices, what other people think. It's also something that's also clicking, I would say, like some tabs in my mind, So I really like thank you for this talk today, because I feel it's gonna click so many ideas in people's minds. Same as I told you, like it's very inspiring. It's very good. Like very really like great, amazing ideas. It's gonna click either in Greek people minds who are gonna listen for this podcast, or people in SCI. for people all over the world who are really like interested in this topic or working on this topic, it's gonna click a lot of stuff that we talked about today.
I hope. One last thing.
Yes.
I know that it might seem, because right now we were talking about how Palestine is one struggle and how there are other ones, and there are all the systems holding these up.
Yeah.
This might seem like such a huge task to just understand all of this and read about all of this. And I just want to say to anyone who's listening, just start from somewhere.
Okay.
Start from somewhere, because it's a web and it's going to lead you to other things.
Yeah.
So don't be astonished. Like, there are people who are spending their whole lives studying this, and
Yeah.
they have maybe a lot of expertise in one area, in Bali, for example. But you don't need to do this. I think you just need a more peripheral view first, and then go deeper in things that are more interesting to you or you can affect more. So, for example, in my position, I can affect more the dialogue, for example, around Cyprus. So this is why I have chosen to spend quite a few efforts in this, because I'm queer, around pink washing and all of these things.
Yeah.
So you can pick a very niche thing to work within struggles, and sometimes it's even better because you can do so much more. So yeah, don't be discouraged by the amount of things needing to do. This is why we are so many billions of people. So
Exactly.
start from
Like
somewhere and
really, like
things.
we keep hope. I don't know, every day, by month, by day, by month, by year. You know, we just keep the hope, and I'm sure that we're gonna cultivate what we are, you know, like planting in our world. You know, really.
Yes. And just make it a regular thing of your life. It's not your anti-militarist day where you watch one anti-militarist film. Just be like, I'm gonna watch this film because it's fucking incredible, for example. And it might be gut-wrenching or incredibly funny and light, and it's just a movie that happens to be anti-militarist.
Exactly. Exactly. Really.
So yeah, and before you know, you'll be way too deep to go out. So with that, I will leave you.
Really, thank you so much, Danai. Well, this is amazing, and I'm truly happy that we managed to make the talk like longer like this. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your thoughts. And I hope also that really you keep the work that you're doing with high spirits, and also like to know that you're always also surrounded by good people to support you. So I'm always really there to support your work because you inspired me at the beginning of joining No More War. So really like again, I would maybe repeat it to you and Thomas. You're really very like you started this collective with very really like strong basis. So it gives us really like the energy, the patience, and the strength to continue, the resilience as well. Really. So
Thank you, first of all, for being my friend. And then second,
yeah,
for all of the other things that we do together.
same.
I mean, love is the biggest system of life. Let's keep it going. So yeah, that's what I'm most grateful for, and I am very happy I got invited in this, and I continue to be your friend and have these talks. So
Same.